Rolling. So, just to start off, let me have your name, age, and background.
I'm Tajiri Jabali. Tajiri Ayana Jabali. DC number G20191. My birthday is February 21st, 1993.
And where are you from and born? Where you born and raised from?
I was born at Parkway Hospital, and I was raised in Miami. From the ages of 1 to 7, I was in Miami. Then I went to Broward, and then I ended up back in Miami as a teenager.
Okay. And what schools did you go to?
So many. I started off at Santa Clara Elementary, then I went to Westview Middle, then I went to Broadway, then I went to Westview, then Alapata Middle School in Miami, and then I went to Miami Central, and then I ended up in Gainesville High School.
Okay. Now, tell me how was your childhood like?
Starting from where, man? It was like,
We could say from where you was moving around in different schools and stuff like that.
okay, well, as I got older, my parents had me when they were 16.
Okay.
They were younger, so I stayed with my mom in the beginning till I was about 7. I was off and on, like sometimes my family stayed in Carroll City, but my dad stayed in Liberty City, so I was back and forth from both places. I was either here with my dad on one weekend and here another day. When I started getting in school, I started having behavior issues. I was like rebellious. I had an attitude problem, and no one could figure out what it was. So they felt the best for me was to go to my dad. So that's why I ended up in Miami in Liberty City at Santa Clara Elementary. And from there, I think that's the earliest I can remember where everything started. All the anger and the hate and the shell.
So you could say you spent most of your time in the city, Liberty City?
Yeah, I spent most of my time with my dad. Yeah.
And what is your relationship like with both your parents now? Well, before at the time.
At the time, growing up, it was when I was with my mom. My mom is a professional massage therapist, but I could say that she kept a roof over her head and she kept food on the table. But when it came to being a responsible parent, she did the best that she can do, and it was convenient and it was okay. However, our relationship was never the best. It was never what a mother and daughter's relationship should have been because of life. Like she's an alcoholic. She drinks, she does drugs, she lives a fast life. But at any means, she always provided for her kids. And when she felt like she couldn't provide for her kids, she sent me to my dad. And I went to my dad when I was 7 years old, and I didn't understand the discipline. Like my dad disciplined me to an extreme as in drastic measures, I could say, and that tainted our relationship because I'm my dad's firstborn. I'm his first daughter, and I was always with him. My dad took to it as in, this is my baby, I want her here with me, I want her around, but didn't know how to raise a daughter because he was a kid as well, and this responsibility got put on his plate. And as I got older, it's just, he went about it, my opinion, is the wrong way. But then again, now that I'm older now, I could say that it's different. But my relationship, I can never say that I had a relationship with my parents growing up. I was just there. And that's in both households. When I was with my mom and when I was with my dad, I was just there. I didn't have a voice to speak on what I like or what I wanted for Christmas or what I wanted for my birthday. It was, in their household, it was none of that. So there was no relationship. And it was just a responsibility to them. There was never any love. It was just a responsibility. And that's all that consisted of.
So how did you find a way to relieve out steam and deal with your problems?
I never did, actually. I never I never did. I've held it in for so long.
Okay. So other than that, who else did you have in your life that that was around other than your parents?
Oh, I have my grandmother, Miss Haiba Jabali. I have my grandmother. I have my grandfather, Mr. Warren, the late Warren Jabali. May he rest in peace. I have my auntie Tamaini Jabali, and I have my auntie Kelly Williams, and that was pretty much it. Like when I stayed with my dad had these rules that were so hard to abide by, and one of his rules was, you don't do good in school. If you do bad in school, you don't see your family. You act up or you do something to piss me off, or if it's not convenient for me, you don't see your family. So even my environment with my dad was always hostile. It was always aggressive. It was never peaceful. I was always on eggshells. I was scared to turn my head. I was scared to say certain things. Like I never heard. I think I could count on two hands how many times my dad has actually said he loves me in my life up until this point. So, like weekends when he had to work, he would let me go to my mom's side of the family. And I would come to my grandma's house, and my grandma, she'd spoil me, give me all type of clothes and feed me, and it was just love in my grandmother's house. And dealing with all the abuse that I was dealing at my father's house, and dealing with the abuse at my mother's house, and dealing with the different situations going on around me, and me not being able to channel it anywhere. Being around my grandmother and my aunt and my granddad, it was just like that little piece of hope that they gave me in my life, that one day things would be okay, because things was not okay.
So before you got arrested, what was your dream and aspirations in life for you growing up to be?
I can't say that I really had any. I was never the kid to say, oh, I want to be a doctor. I never was the kid to say, oh, I want to do this. I never had a mind to think, to say, I want to do something. I had no passion because I was so sheltered and locked in. Like I was in a room. I grew up in a room the size of my cell. And all I had to do was homework and in my room. There was no TV. There was no nothing besides what my dad did. He worked on cars. He taught me how to work on cars. When he was working on cars, I was able to sit there and watch. When he did his DJing thing, I was able to go and sit in the car, or I was able to stand by the car while he did his DJ thing. So there was nothing that in what he was doing I didn't like. I didn't care for it because it wasn't something that I liked to do. It was something he did. So I never really had a chance to say, okay, this is what I like. But as I got older, I didn't know the streets, but I didn't know anything else. I didn't know nothing. So in middle school, I had no ambition. I had no goal. I had no what I want to do. I just knew that I need to get through the day. I need to get through the week so I won't get beat on, or I can make sure so I can satisfy other people. So right before I got locked up, I was in a situation where I was a teenager. My dad felt like I would be responsible for myself. And he told me to leave his house. And I left. And I called my mom. My mom came and got me. My mom at the time, she had lost she was on the verge of losing everything. So she was staying with my grandmother. So she stayed there. It was my sister Imara, my brother Junior, my mom, my cousin Stephanie, and my grandmother in a 2-bedroom duplex. That was it. It was 5 of us. And that was the same size. That house was the same size of 4 cells together. You feel me? So when he told me to leave and I had to live in that situation, I just figured, you know what? Let me do it myself. But me not knowing the streets and me not knowing nothing else, I drowned. I got out there. I was smoking weed. I was toting a pistol. Never shot one before, but carrying guns around and staying up late night, finding somewhere to sleep every other night because didn't want to drive all the way back down south. I mean, all the way to Broward when I'm in Dade County, where my school is. So, I don't know. It's like...
How old were you at the time when you were doing all of this?
15 to 16 years old. Yeah. I was 16. I was 16 when my dad told me to leave, and that's when things got real. That's when things got real, and it was like nobody else had the responsibility. Now it was my responsibility, and how I took care of the responsibility, I did what I thought everybody else did, which was rob, sell drugs, rob people. I would rob your ass. I would. Like that's just what I was. Like I was walking up on you in broad daylight, I would rob your ass. But I ain't had a heart to shoot. So you just better give it to me, or I just tried to survive, you know?
So